Going into camp, number one, the QB battle, obviously. Jaron Hall, Baylor Romney, Jacob Conover. Do you expect anything to happen in the first week here relative to naming a starter?
I do not. However, we did find out yesterday when we had head coach Kalani Sitake on the program, he is not shying away from naming somebody publicly if that's what happens and somebody steps up.
At some time, the team, the players, they all need to know, even including the fans, need to know who's going to be the guy taking the first snap. And so I don't know how quickly that's going to come out, but as soon as someone has separated himself and pretty much earned that spot, then we'll name it.
Yeah, he's not worrying about
I like that.
Gamesmanship.
Well, this is a different philosophy than I think maybe even he had a couple years ago.
Right.
Where it's like, no, let's keep it close to the vest and nope, let's just name it. In 2016, his first year, there was a question of, is it Taysom Hill, Tanner Ming? They named Taysom Hill in the first week.
Right.
They weren't shy either.
Look, and maybe one of these guys comes out, and look, we all certainly think it's leaning towards Jaron Hall. If Jaron comes out and he's the guy, and there's just no point in drawing it out, maybe they do. I'm not expecting that, but
I'd be surprised if that's the case, because I think the reason they haven't is because the three are good.
Right. That's
yes, a good problem.
It is a good problem to have.
So we'll see when someone's named. I would love in the first 2 weeks for that to happen.
Yes.
I want at least 2 weeks worth of first team reps for that guy going into the first game. I think that's really important. I don't think you can delay that a long time. And we've asked everybody that's come through here, Aaron Roderick and Kalani and even the quarterbacks, they're like, just whatever happens, happens. But I would hope that no more than 2 weeks for that timeline.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty accurate. And look, and here's the fun part about it is, I think quarterback is probably going to be number one on this list, whether there's a quarterback competition or not.
It's just quarterback.
Like the first thing you look at is you're looking at the quarterback. Even if Zach Wilson was back, I think he would still be the number one thing that's getting our attention.
If Zach Wilson was back, we'd say, can he be even better?
Yeah. Right.
Okay, number two. Who's getting the most touches on offense? We've talked about so many playmakers at running back and receiver and tight end. What's the distribution going to be like? Who's going to get the most touches? I'm thinking it's Tyler Algier, the most touches, most carries. No one's going to have more catches than he has carries. Debatable. Who do you think it's? Who do you think's the second most touches? Maybe because Tyler Algier feels pretty obvious.
Yeah. See, honestly, for me, when I talk about getting the touches, I almost think of the wide receivers. That's actually where I go more, because I think there's a clear pecking order in terms of the running back. It's Tyler Algier, and then you have Lopini Katoa.
And then it's TBD.
But I don't know, right? Look, you may not need TBD, because with Tyler Algier and Lopini Katoa, you've got enough to get through a season, and certainly the hope is that everybody's healthy. So honestly, in terms of who gets the touches or who gets the looks, I'm more looking towards the wide receivers, and with the additions of the Nakua brothers, and now Gunnar certainly becomes even more prominent in the off. That's the distribution I'm more interested to see, even more than the running backs. I think we have a pretty good idea because of how strong the top two guys are.
Let's say BYU's in empty and they have 5 wide. Just think about who can both Nakuas, Gunnar Romney,
Isaac.
You'd have an Isaac Rex. Maybe you go too tight with Dallin Holker, right? Or you have Neil Palu, or Chase Roberts, or Cody Epps, or Keanu Hill. Or you put Tyler Algier out in motion, or what? There's so many options to throw to.
3 offensive linemen,
which is illegal. Yeah. Okay. Number 3, the new look offensive line. So Gonar Brady Christensen at left tackle, Tristan Hodge at right guard, and then Chandon Herring at right tackle. So you put in Blake Freeland at left tackle, Harris LaChance at right tackle, and then kind of TBD on what you're going to get for a guard. Perhaps it's Connor Pay, right? Perhaps it's Keanu Saliapaga. There are some great options. Clark Barrington and James Empey are the 2 starters through back. Campbell Barrington apparently is going to be the real deal for BYU at offensive line as well. Clark's brother, who sounds like a Duke of Earl. Sir Campbell Barrington! So I'm stoked about this group. And again, I've been talking about it. You're going to have 2 6'8", 300-plus pound tackles. I'm just stoked about the towers. Can Jaron Hall see through that? Yes, because he's going to have great vision. He's going to sprint out to the right or left. It's going to be all right.
I have very high expectations for the offensive line. And I think one of the reasons why, and we've seen this over the last couple of seasons, is number one, a lot of guys are interchangeable, and some people can look at that as a negative. Like, you want guys to be in a certain spot all the time, and I certainly understand that. I think that's probably the best situation, but I like that guys can play different spots. But over the last couple of years, we've had opportunities to see guys come in and get reps, and the depth has been strengthened. So now when some of these guys that were once considered depth now get the call up to be potential starters, it's not something that's overwhelming, and that's why I come in with a very, very high opinion and very high expectations for this offensive line. I expect a lot of great things because the guys that are there, I think they're ready for this.
Yeah, amen. New coach in Daryl Funk at offensive line. And we say new guys, but a lot of these guys have played. Like you said, I want to say that 8 of the 10 in the 2 deep have started at some point. Like, Keona Saliapaga was a regular in 2019, kind of banged up in 2020. But he's back, and then Harris LaChance has been waiting. Blake Freeland started the Boise State game in 2019. Like, was it even hard to beat Boise State? BYU's playing freshman Baylor Romney, freshman Sione Finau, freshman Blake Freeland at right tackle, I believe, that game. So,
I don't know.
Was it even hard?
Play? Did Hank Bachmeier play?
Does Hank Bachmeier play in any meaningful games? Number 4.
No win matters if Hank Bachmeier doesn't play, whether you're playing Boise or not.
Now I'm thinking of Chris Berman. Bachmeier. Number 4. Who's the defensive playmaker? So you lose Troy Warner, Zane Anderson, Isaiah Kafusi, Kairos Tonga, notably. Chris Wilcox, drafted. Who are the defensive playmakers, in your opinion?
So for me, I've got 3 guys. The 3 that I'm paying the most attention to, up front, Tyler Batty on the defensive line, Peyton Wilgarth, the linebacker, Chaz Ayu in the secondary. Those are the 3 guys that I'm looking at as the playmakers on the defensive side.
I agree on those 3. Tyler Batty had 4 sacks in just a couple of games, so there's a really high expectation for him to kind of carry that over. Lots of tackles for loss as well. He got hurt and he was kind of out. It was a free year for everybody, so he's a redshirt freshman. Peyton Wilgar, Cam Miller's on that train. We have to credit him for being first, right? He's like the guy on YouTube in the comments that says, first! Just don't say anything, just first! Cam Miller was first, and he thinks that Peyton Wilgar is the best defensive player that BYU has. Then Chaz Ayu in the secondary. Now Chaz is back from injury.
Yes.
He's a full-time safety, not a backer. 2019, Chaz made some really, really important plays for BYU. So I'm excited to see his impact. And then let's see who else kind of makes an impact that we're not talking about. Uriah Leatawa, perhaps. Lorenzo Fautea on that defensive line. Of course, Max Tooley and Keenan Peely are the other linebacker starters. Will they make plays? Because Max Tooley has made plays in the past. Keenan Peely's been super stout as a tackler.
Who's going to take over for Chris Wilcox?
And then at corner,
who's going to be that guy?
At corner, BYU is loaded with different guys.
Yes.
Like, there's so many that it's exciting. And you get a guy like Jacques Wilson, who's coming off an ACL tear from last year, who was a junior college transfer that BYU expected to kind of play into that. And, of course, Keenan Ellis and Isaiah Heron and all these dudes that have played for 3 years. Like, a lot of those guys were freshmen playing at Camp Randall against Wisconsin in that win, and now they are juniors and seniors and ready to rock. Malik Moore at free safety, who has had a ton of experience, and now it's his time to be a starter. But losing Troy Warner and in that secondary, and Zane Anderson in the year before, Dinan Ganwoliku, that's a lot of experience and quality play, like playmaking, that's gone. So I'm excited to see on the defense side of the ball. Offense, we kind of feel like we know what we have. Defense, there's a lot of opportunity there. Okay, 5th, and not to be outdone, who will be the impact newcomers?
So for me, I immediately go to the Nakua brothers.
No question.
Those are the 2 I'm excited and curious all wrapped into one because we know what kind of talent they have. I want to see them in this offense. And in talking with both of them on media day, their eyes lit up when I asked them what they think is possible for them in this offense. They were so excited to be able to watch what BYU did last year and sort of envision themselves in this offense. They are extremely excited to be a part of it, and I can't wait to see it.
Okay, I'm stoked as well for the Nakuas. Chase Roberts will be a guy that we're going to give a year, but he was an All-American coming out of American Fork High School at receiver, return missionary. There's a lot of loaded receivers, so maybe he's 4th or 5th or 6th in that group for now. But then you look at Dallin Holker. I know there's always this debate: is a newcomer someone who's back from Michigan?
Okay, you and I are going to disagree on this.
I feel like he's a newcomer. Dallin Holker, I think
he's not a newcomer. He's played in games.
I didn't see him the last 2 years, but yeah, Yeah, whatever your definition is. On this side of the desk, that is the.
It does not
Hooker is a
change
newcomer.
whether he's a newcomer or not. We're expecting a lot of really fun things from Dallin Hoker.
Yes, Dallin Hoker's the real deal, as they say in these parts. And then defensively, Tyler Batty, although he did play a couple of games, right? He's like newish, like fans kind of know him, not technically a newcomer. But there's dudes that we're not talking about. Like Hayden Livingston has played a little bit. He's going to get some run at safety. Malik Moore is going to make more plays on that offensive line. Like I mentioned, a Campbell Barrington, that Dylan Rollins kid I mentioned yesterday, Montana. It's going to be sweet.
Montana strong.
I love finding out the new guys who are going to make an impact on this team. It's going to be sweet. A running back, Hinckley Ropati. Keep an eye on that name.
He does like to work out.
Yeah, dude. He is jacked.
Yes, he is.
He is not as jacked Jimmer, but BYU and Arizona coming up in how many days?